Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Beau Keenan joins us. He's the president of Dickson Realty, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome back to the program Beau Keenan. He is the president of Dickson Realty. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Sam, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So let's talk about this housing market here. And we're going to have folks coming on from Southern Nevada, so let's concentrate on Northern Nevada at this point. Now, I live in a nice middle-class neighborhood. At this point, there are 3 houses on the street that are for sale. Yeah. One is closing as we speak. Yeah. It seems like the market is moving as it should at this time of year. What's your perspective?
It is, yeah. And we definitely are back to kind of some normal seasonality. During the pandemic years, there really wasn't any seasonality, any season there was homes flying off the market. But typically, early to late spring, we start to see sales increase. And we're definitely seeing that. But what's unique about our market is that we don't have as much demand as we used to. Even pre-pandemic years, we would typically see, on average, 500 sales a month. Right now, we're seeing closer to an average of 350, where we've had 450 the last month. So it's increasing, which is great. Yeah. But when you think about that you have 30% less sales on average than you did even pre-pandemic, you'd think that prices would be potentially falling. And they're just not. And it's really a story of inventory more than it is demand, because inventory is still so low, you can have less demand, but yet it can feel like it's still a hot market.
Well, the other side of it to me is that you have so many businesses continuing to move here, and so many folks, especially from California, moving here with cash, that, you know, like you say, with a lack of availability, that those prices are not going to drop. In fact, I'm seeing from the numbers I'm looking at, the prices are still, they're not climbing as rapidly as they did, but they're climbing back to close to where they were pre-pandemic.
Yeah, well, so during the pandemic, I mean, our median price got as high as $620,000 between Reno and Sparks, and that's the highest we've ever been, right? We came off of that number when interest rates increased significantly over that 6-month course of 2022. We fell about 15%, but we've picked up close to 10% of that 15% decline in the last year and a half, despite interest rates staying high.
So, you know, it's funny because for those of us that have been around a while, these interest rates are not that high. And I mean,
In retrospect, right?
they're high by comparison with zero.
Correct.
But they're not high by well, I shouldn't say zero, but by comparison with
2-3%.
3%.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how the market responds to that. Of course, the balance to that is the prices are so much higher.
Correct.
So interest rates versus price of home, but it seems that if people are complaining about not being able to afford to buy a house, they need to start thinking in terms of how you bought a house in the past, especially your first home, which is you worked 3 jobs, you saved up your money for a couple of years. There wasn't this thought that you could just walk in and buy a home with no effort on your part.
Right. Yep.
Is that what you're looking at in terms of, people coming to see you and saying, how do I do this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because we know that there's enough demand that's still out there that even if interest rates were to start to decline, prices aren't going to decline. They're going to continue to go up. So I don't think prices are going to get any better. So, and educating the buyers to say, hey, don't wait for some massive price drop to happen. You're going to have to increase your income capacity, whether that's having, to your point, two jobs, having family support that helps out with your down payment. We find that most people can afford the monthly payment to some degree, but they don't have enough to put down.
Right.
And that's where you have to save that extra amount. And I think we're in a kind of a world of instant gratification, right? I can graduate from college and I can buy a median house price right away. No, it might take you 3 or 4 years to save up.
Yeah, I bought my first house at 38.
Okay, see? Yeah.
And that was with
28.
was 3 jobs, for 2 years to be able to make that work.
Right.
And moved into the house with $500 cash.
Okay.
That was all I had left.
Yeah.
And then I found out you had to buy light bulbs and garbage cans.
Oh, you had to maintain the house.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that was just to move in.
Of course, yeah.
They didn't come with light bulbs. I was like, holy moly. And this was a brand new house.
Oh, geez.
So that's part of life.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you're young and your parents are willing, moving in with your parents to be able to, save up the money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great way to go. The other side that I found very interesting was the builder's response, which is in terms of being able to buy down points.
Yeah.
What other things are builders doing to try and get people into these homes?
That's probably the most significant thing that they are doing is they're buying down the rate so that monthly payment is more affordable. We're not seeing that they want to reduce the price a whole lot because then that affects the whole community, right? Thinking, I bought it at this price and now it's 5% less. So they'll help pay with closing costs. They might potentially negotiate to get you more of your appliances, appliance package that they typically wouldn't offer that can save you some money, landscaping incentives, things of that sort that would be cash outlay that a typical buyer would have in a new home community, but now they don't because, again, that builder would like to incentivize you to get in at their current prices.
So across the state of Nevada, we are seeing tremendous growth in terms of business. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, we had Grant Van Royen come on the program and talking about this massive investment they're making in data farm construction, at least at this point, but that will bring data farms to the area. TRI is on fire.
Yep.
In Southern Nevada, Apex is on fire. You're looking at a new airport within the next 15 years, which is going to be tremendous growth down in Southern Nevada as well. So it's not like, we are, going backwards. So as you point out, the inventory is tight now. It's going to remain tight. On the apartment side, are we at this point, I don't want to say overbuilding because we're going to need that, but do we have more apartments at this moment than we need?
At this moment, it feels that way, absolutely. But we know that there's less being built because of interest rates and projects that don't pencil anymore. So I think we're going to ease into that quite nicely. I think if we hadn't had an interest rate spike, that we'd have more projects that would be coming online that could have potentially maybe oversaturated that market. So I don't think it's going to feel oversaturated because we're going to have this dip in actual inventory that will come to the marketplace. So it might actually work out just fine.
It's been fascinating to watch how much can be developed on a small piece of, relatively small piece of land.
Yeah.
The former Park Lane Mall
Yeah.
is now the red development, and there's all these towers that are there.
Yeah.
and providing, thousands of homes at this point in time, I'm presuming.
Yeah.
And that will be incredible for the developments, the former Shoppers Square, that is, has remodeled itself and seems to be doing fabulous. Downtown Sparks, John Esquago dreamed of the growth that's happened there.
Yeah.
And again, not on a huge piece of land, but multiple towers there.
Yeah.
We're also going to see, from my understanding, is that you have internal growth. So it's not just people moving here, but it's, families have children, children grow up, you want the children to continue to live in the area, so therefore you have growth for a need for housing just from that, because they want to have kids, they can't live with their parents forever.
Of course.
So are you seeing a lot of growth because of that?
Absolutely we are. We're seeing both. We're seeing the growth from that, and people have realized Reno's a gem, right? Our outdoor amenities are incredible, our state income taxes. There's lots of reasons why Reno is a special place. I think you're seeing people who've moved away that come back and say, this is actually pretty great and I want to be here, right?
Right.
But we are seeing parents talking about, it's unfortunate, my child wants to come back, but they can't afford the prices, so they are going to stay Midwest, Texas and so forth, where it's less affordable, where it's more affordable. So yes, there is that, but not as much as one might think, just because pricing has been really tough. I mean, to have 50% increase in prices in the last 4 years, right? That's
Okay, so what are you seeing in terms of supply chain? Because a lot of the cost of the housing is now, put onto the cost of lumber, the cost of the actual building, the need to pay construction workers more because you don't have as many as you would like to have.
Yep.
So how does that all play into things?
Yeah, it makes it hard for this term affordable housing, which we know is kind of a debatable term, for your builders to be able to do exactly that, because while material costs, lumber for example, has come down and some other materials have come down, labor has not. If anything, it's gone up because of the shortage that we have. So trying to increase the labor trades, and even just our young people to say, it's not a bad thing to actually get into labor trades. You can do quite well. And that's just,
no kidding.
Right? That needs to be shared.
Yes.
But another thing too is just the regulatory costs. I'm doing my first personal development project to kind of get my hands around what are they up against. And we find that 30% of a project's cost is regulatory soft costs that you're having to pay either to, again, the local government, or just the time that it takes to get through the process. And there's time value of money, because most builders are borrowing money to build projects. Right? And that gets factored in. A lot of people don't think about that. And so the thing that we see is, any builder that comes in that really wants to build for that price that's less than the median home price, they just can't do it, because even if you give them the ground for free, sometimes they can't even do it because of all the additional costs that you have, regulation-wise and labor-wise.
All right, so are you having these conversations with local governments like Reno Sparks, Washoe County, to say, hey, we look at Story County and how fast they're able to move and how easy they make it for developers, and that's why the park is going nuts. Why are we not doing this? North Las Vegas actually copied Story County in a lot of ways to be able to make things more efficient for people who want to do construction. And yet I don't see that happening in our local jurisdictions.
There's discussions being had. I'm definitely not leading the charge to that. I mean, the Builders Association of Nevada and others are working on exactly that. But there's going to have to be a point where it does improve. Like, there's no doubt about it. Because the cost to any builder that get passed on to them, unfortunately, gets passed on to the consumer.
Sure,
You're not going to take that risk, right, without some type of decent return. So that's where we have to meet in the middle and say, hey guys, something has to change here for the locals.
Okay, all right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about more with Beau Keenan. He's the president of Dickson Realty after this time out.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Beau Keenan. He is the president of Dickson Realty. So one thing that gets talked about a lot on this program and elsewhere, of course, are lands bills. And the discussion is that if we get the Washoe County lands bill, and Clark County is hoping for the Clark County lands bill and other lands bills that are associated, that getting that land from the BLM will lower significantly costs for builders that will allow us to develop more affordable housing. First of all, how do you define affordable housing? Is that affordable housing for the poor, affordable housing for middle class? Who is it affordable housing for? Because I think everybody but the super rich need affordable housing.
Agreed. And affordable housing is something that, again, that you can qualify and afford that payment per month and still be able to afford just the everyday living, right? And
so is that the old number of a third of your income, no more than a third of your income should be spent on your accommodations?
I think that's the general rule of thumb, but even lenders have gotten to, they're allowing up to 40%, 42% debt to income for their, to be able to get approved for the property. So I think a third, right, is a general rule of thumb. That's great, and that's what we're trying to do. But to your point, affordable housing, I think, is really two different things. I think there is one for those who just don't even have housing, that we need to get them into housing. And I think that the city's done a decent job trying to take care of that with the Hopes Connector, and that community down there. I mean, obviously there's more work to be done. But when you look at a family that's working, that wants to own a home, how do we make sure that they can afford the median home price payment? And that's right now at $590,000, which is our median home price, at an interest rate of 7% right now with great credit. If you're getting an average income, you can't afford that. You can afford $400,000, but the amount of $400,000 homes out there is pretty scarce. How can we start to build more homes that are on the market between that $400,000 and $500,000? I think the lands bill will help with that. That's a ways off before you can get to the point that you're actually putting sticks in the air and building property, right?
Realistically, what, 10 years?
Yeah, I think
from the time it's passed.
Yeah, I think 8 to 10 years.
Because you've got to have all the regulations that go along with it.
Yep. Infrastructure is not out there. The amount of time it'll take to put the infrastructure out there. So, well, I think that's going to help. I think that's unfortunately ways off.
One of the things that I find ironically funny is when people talk about infrastructure and they say, well, why aren't the roads wide enough? Why, why do we have all these traffic jams? If counties and cities were to build all the roads for growth and all the other amenities ahead of time, the people who live there would go insane because their costs would be through the roof.
Through the roof.
It can never happen that way, right?
It doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem so. The economics of that don't quite play out. You're absolutely right.
Well, you're being very polite about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. All right, so then there's another side to this, which is, are we building homes that are too large at this point for the amount of money that people have to be able to spend on homes? I think back to when I was a kid. We had one TV, we had one telephone. I realize those are the 1800s, but still, we didn't have everybody in a family having a phone. We didn't have everybody in a family having a car. we've gotten spoiled to a degree, to a large degree, in terms of what our expectations are. But you know, starter homes that are not 2,000 square feet, isn't that a direction we should be looking at, moving in? When you talk to builders, are they talking about, you know, building smaller homes where they can put more homes onto a piece of land and therefore make them more affordable?
To some degree. I mean, you think about all the costs that go into just getting the land ready to be developed, getting the workers out there, and even if you shave off hundreds of square feet, the cost doesn't come down significantly. It comes down because it's less material costs, right? I think the answer is actually our building processes need to get more efficient. We need to be able to, modular building at some point will have to take off to where you can efficiently build the replica of the same house that only takes 2 weeks rather than 2 months. That will help significantly more than I think just a smaller house.
So things like tilt-ups, for example?
Yeah, tilt-ups, or just your traditional, what is modular building in a factory. They build it, they cut it to exact sizes, it's delivered, and then you have framers that literally can erect the building within, a week, 2 weeks time.
So this is not manufactured housing?
No, modular is what we call it.
Yeah,
manufactured, you deliver the home to the site already built, right?
Right.
Yeah. The modular is where it's built in a factory, put together, almost like putting Legos together, right? It's assembled there, disassembled, and then taken to the site. That to me seems much more efficient and effective at bringing down costs over time. But you need, again, economies of scale. You need more builders, more laborers that are used to that type of construction, and I think that will help. But yes, smaller homes will definitely help, but I don't hear people talking a lot. There's still, the average home is going to be 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. That's kind of what they're building out there in that price point. I don't think 1,000 square feet is the answer.
Because it's just not big enough, or it's not what people desire?
I don't think it's what people desire, but I also don't think that the cost comes down that much more.
Oh, okay.
Really, because again, all the other costs to get a project done outside of just the lumber, right, for a smaller house, are still so much. So even if you brought the price down 5-10%, I just don't think you're gonna have enough demand for a house that's half the size, because you're not gonna get the bang for the buck.
No, and that's true, but at least it would be a starter home, something to build on, where you start out small and work your way up.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just thinking from, past generations. Let's take another quick break and we'll be right back.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food.
It's a good time to eat.
Over 500 hot slots, plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Welcome to the Winnemucca Big R.
Hi, I'm John Walker. Welcome to Big R Lovelock.
Hi, I'm Rich Martin. Welcome to Fallon Big R.
My name is Braden. Welcome to Big R Fernley.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Big R Sparks.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Beau Keenan. He is the president of Dickson Realty. So talk to me about renting versus owning. And we were talking about the potential for smaller houses. You're saying that you don't think that people would necessarily want to go for that. what's the renting versus owning scenario?
I can see that we have enough inventory, especially now that they're actually building homes for rent, right? And they're building homes for rent that are 1,500, 2,000 square feet. I think you would see a lot of people would actually defer to go ahead and renting rather than purchasing if it meant they had to buy a home that was half the size that I could rent. We live in a day and age where we just have lots of materials, right? We own lots of things. So to buy something and to have storage units to then keep all of your stuff as well starts to become inefficient. So that's my only concern, is that just the demand for a much, much smaller home won't be there if they go to build that. And I think that's why builders aren't building these tiny homes all over.
Are you seeing more national builders looking at the Reno Sparks market?
Not any more than we typically, not any new ones. We haven't seen any new ones enter the market. Lennar, Toll, D.R. Horton seem to still kind of be the big three.
Okay. Just last quick question here. We've seen a lot of low-cost housing, basically terrible housing, demolished. Do you see that housing is going to be replaced anytime soon, and who would be doing that?
There are, not being completely involved in that, but there are developers out of Southern California that I've heard have made a pass at trying to come up to do things like, there's a couple Motel 6s, right, that are being completely renovated to be low-income housing.
Right.
That is becoming, it seems like, some type of business model that is starting to happen, but I don't see any local developers doing that a ton. I think it's going to be from outside the area, money coming in to do exactly that. But I would hope, I mean, that regentrification is what we want. You just need the savvy developer who knows how to navigate those waters to make it work effectively and efficiently.
And that's where we have to leave it. I thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam.
Come back, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll be right back.
Here on 7 at 7, we're bringing you the local headlines in just 7 minutes.
We've got you covered in the morning, evening, and for all breaking news in between and as it happens.
Life is busy, and we don't waste your time. Join us for local news now streaming on our YouTube page.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.